What is going on YouTube? Run and Gun Sports here, back with another news update video. Week of February 1st news update. So let's get right into the news. The first one is Marvin Jones Jr. to the LA Rams. I think this would be an interesting one considering the fact that Matthew Stafford has just been traded to the Los Angeles Rams. I think it'd actually be a pretty good fit since Matthew Stafford and Marvin Jones Jr. are very comfortable with each other. Marvin Jones Jr. was Matthew Stafford's #1 receiver this year. So I think it would be a good fit. We'll see if the Rams do have enough money to pull off a trade or some sort of deal with Marvin Jones Jr. The next one is J.J. Watt, a free agent this offseason, has the possibility to be going to Buffalo or the Los Angeles Chargers, or the two rumored places. Also could be returning to the Houston Texans. I think it would be a very good fit for the Los Angeles Chargers with a young, good defense to kind of mentor those young defensive players on the Chargers. They're a very good defensive young team, got a good roster last year. Obviously did not do so well. Fired Anthony Lynn. The coaching was not very good for the Chargers, and I think that he could be like another coach on that field and play, be good impact for the team. The next one is Kirk Cousins to San Francisco. I think that would be a good one, but Mike Zimmer did come out and say, quote, he is our guy. So obviously that most likely will not be happening. Kirk Cousins will be a Viking again for next season. Cam Newton to the Bengals. This one just really confuses me. Not happened yet, but there is a very serious talk of the Bengals talking about getting Cam Newton. Obviously, the Bengals drafted Joe Burrow with the first overall pick in the draft last year. I just really confused by this one. If they do trade for Cam Newton or sign him, he is a free agent. They could obviously get him for very cheap. There was 12 backup quarterbacks this season who were paid higher than Cam Newton was. Cam Newton was the starter for the New England Patriots at the quarterback position. But for me, that's just a really confusing trade. Maybe they want him as a good backup. Dak Prescott to Denver. I'm really don't know about this one either. I think Dak Prescott has got a very strong receiving core. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper on that Cowboys team. I don't think that Denver would be the right place for him. The Colts QB situation, they are still very highly interested in Carson Wentz as becoming their next quarterback of their franchise. I think it would be a good fit. So we'll see what happens with the Colts. Obviously, Philip Rivers just retired this year. We'll see. Jacoby Brissett right now would be the quarterback if the season was to start today, but I can't imagine they will have him starting in Week 1 of the 2021 NFL season. Brian Schottenheimer was hired as the Jaguars passing game coordinator. Personally, as a Seahawks fan, I'm not a big fan of Brian Schottenheimer. I think he did sort of ruin our offense a tad bit, and his play calling were a bit questionable. We'll see what he can do in Duval County in Jacksonville, Florida, with new head coach Urban Meyer. Most likely will be having the first overall draft pick, Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. See what he can develop with the team there. Kenny Golladay has been turned down a mega contract from the Detroit Lions. His possible landing spots are New York, Chicago, and Baltimore, but New York has shown a ton of interest in him. I think that would be a good pick. I think that the Giants also will go out and possibly draft a good receiver this year. Most likely Jalen Waddle from Alabama would be a good fit for that team, but Kenny Golladay there as well would be good. I think that they will cut Golden Tate this year to free up some cap space. He's a little bit older and not as well as he used to be. There is talk about Deshaun Watson and Derek Carr being swapped teams, which means Derek Carr would be going to the Texans and Deshaun Watson to the Raiders. For Watson, I think that's a big trade, and I think that's actually a good deal for Watson in his best interest with Henry Ruggs, Nelson Aguilar, Darren Waller. I think that will be a really, really high-powered offense, including Josh Jacobs, the running back. But Derek Carr, if I was him and I was traded to the Houston Texans, I would not be happy at all. You know, Deshaun Watson does not like it there. Will Fuller will be back after the suspension, so we'll see if that trade does happen and what will happen if that trade does. I personally don't see that happening. I personally see Deshaun Watson staying in Houston. I just think that Houston would be foolish to give him up, even for what the teams are offering him. Watson also has been offered to, or excuse me, has been receiving interest from the 49ers. I think this would actually be a really good trade for Watson as well, with a young team on the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk, Kendrick Bourne, George Kittle would be a great fit, and I think that would honestly be a Super Bowl contending team with such a strong defense, and they would be good contenders for the NFC West each and every year. I think the NFC West will be a very interesting division to watch this year. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals obviously fell short of the playoffs last year, just barely. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks obviously were your NFC champions who lost to the Rams, who are also in the NFC West, in the wild card round of the playoffs. But obviously they just picked up Matthew Stafford, which would be very interesting to see what he'll do in the upcoming years. I just think the Rams are one elite receiver weapon away from becoming a Super Bowl contending team personally, with that strong defense of theirs. They're just so good, so well coached. Aaron Donald, the secondary, the linebackers are just all so well put together. Corey Davis and Curtis Samuel have been looked at by the Green Bay Packers. I think Corey Davis would be a better fit for the Packers. Both those guys are coming off their rookie contracts. Corey Davis, a big body receiver, reminds me a lot like DK Metcalf. Big possession guy, yards after catch. Curtis Samuel's more of a wildcat type of guy. He can run the ball on a jet sweep. He's very fast. So we'll see what happens. And if they do decide to go after one of those guys, adding more weapons to Aaron Rodgers would only make him more dangerous, along with Devontae Adams. Richard Sherman has been rumored to be going to the Raiders or the Browns. It's not likely to see Sherman going to the Browns, apparently. So I don't see that happening either. But Richard Sherman going to the Raiders, I think, would be a really good fit. The Raiders have a very young defensive secondary, and they obviously struggled this year. If you watch any of their games, you just saw the amount of struggle they had. But I think he would be another deal like J.J. Watt, where he's on the field sort of as a coach out there, helping those guys out. I think it'd be a very good fit for that team. Carson Wentz is expected to be traded soon. Denver, Chicago, and Colts are his three big possibilities right now. The Colts are showing obviously the most interest in him, as we talked earlier on about, but I think Denver would honestly be a great fit for Carson Wentz. Jerry Jeudy, the rookie, this year the rookie, struggled, but he also had a very good year. One of the best route runner, probably the best rookie route runner in the league last year. KJ Hamler, who emerged strong throughout the year, and Noah Fant, the extremely good tight end. So we'll see what happens, but it looks like he'd more than likely go to the Colts before going to the Broncos, but I'd like to see him go to the Broncos because that's a good young defensive receiving core that would do pretty good with him. Jadeveon Clowney is definitely open to returning to Tennessee Titans, so that's good news if you're a Titans fan. He's a very strong defensive player. He was injured and nicked up throughout the year, so we'll see what kind of impact he does have and what team he lands next year. T.Y. Hilton will sign with the Dolphins, predicted by ESPN. We'll see if that does happen. I think it would be a pretty good fit. T.Y. Hilton, pretty old. I'd say pretty close to being washed at this point. But I think he could be, like I said earlier about J.J. Watt and Richard Sherman, a good young coach to those guys. I think the Dolphins will go out and draft a rookie receiver this year. They have 4 of the top 50 picks in this year's NFL draft, which is huge for rebuilding. And last year they were only 10-6, which is not a bad record at all. Brian Flores has got some good things going down there in Miami, Florida. To end off the video, Jason Witten will be coaching at Liberty Christian High School in Argyle, Texas, in the Dallas area. So wish him the best of luck. Obviously retired last week. Obviously, we talked about Philip Rivers will be coaching in the state of Alabama. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked the video, please leave a like down below and a comment, and share this with your friends and subscribe, please. Thanks.